Was it wrong of Liverpool fans to boo Alexander Arnold upon his return to Anfield on Tuesday night? Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be trying to answer that very question, or at least chucking my opinion into the conversation for what it's worth. For those of you who don't know, Trent Alexander-Arnold made his return to Anfield and to Liverpool this past Tuesday night when Real Madrid took on Liverpool in the Champions League phase. This was the first time that Trent had returned to Liverpool since, of course, his incredible transfer to Real Madrid this past summer. And it's safe to say that for the vast majority of Liverpool supporters, he wasn't exactly greeted or welcomed back with open arms. It wasn't exactly the best of receptions for the once Scouser in the Liverpool team. Instead, he was greeted with boos, heckles, chants, and so on and so forth. There was a minority of supporters that stood and applauded and welcomed him back, but for the most part, it was mainly a resounding noise of boos that you could hear from around the ground, and of course for those watching at home. What followed was not a conversation about how Liverpool won the game thanks to Alexis Mac Allister. It wasn't how Liverpool put in an all-round great performance to make the great Real Madrid look mediocre or poor. But what followed was a conversation about the main man on the day, the main character of the night, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and whether or not it was right for Liverpool fans to have booed him upon his return to Anfield. We're going to be talking about whether or not Liverpool fans were right to do so. We're going to be talking about what was being said by the mainstream media, and in particular, people like Keane over here. And we're also going to be talking about what social media has been saying as well, and why I have a problem with all of the above. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and probably be greatly appreciated. I also encourage you all to get involved in the conversation. Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling with your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, that I'm sure will make for great and interesting reading down below. So please do use and abuse that comment section, people. And without further ado, let's get on with the topic of at hand. Let's talk Trent Alexander-Arnold and whether or not Liverpool fans were right to boo him upon his return to Anfield this past Tuesday night. So first and foremost, let me just say that if you want a short answer to this question, the answer is no. Liverpool fans were not wrong for booing Trent Alexander-Arnold. They had every right to do so. As long as obviously what you're doing and saying doesn't cross a certain line, such as racial slurs and things of that nature, you have every right to voice your opinion as a fan, and especially as a paying fan going to the game. Like I say, as long as it doesn't cross a certain threshold or a certain line, you can pretty much do and say what you like. And booing Trent Alexander-Arnold, what were people expecting? This is what I don't understand. I don't understand what people were expecting. When the move was happening, or in the build-up to the move, more and more Liverpool fans kind of sided on the, I did once have hope that he would re-sign, but now it looks like he's going because it's dragged out this long. And then, of course, it transpired that he was going to go. And then he went to Real Madrid. He turns up speaking Spanish. A lot of Liverpool fans put two and two together and believed that he had been working on this move for a while. A lot of Liverpool fans turned their backs on him. And it's understandable as to why. I've been saying all summer long that I've been on the fence with this Trent Alexander-Arnold stuff. I've said that I can see it from Trent's perspective as to why he would want to go to Real Madrid. There's more likelihood of him winning titles and silverware with Real Madrid than there is Liverpool. There's still a strong chance that you could win it with Liverpool, but I would probably say that there is more of a percentage chance of him winning it at Madrid than there is at Liverpool, and him finishing his career both on and off the pitch being majorly successful, whether it is in terms of wealth and money, and or whether it be in terms of silverware and winners' medals. At Liverpool, he could still be successful, but he probably won't be as successful as he would be playing in the infamous all-white strip of Real Madrid. But it would mean more with him being the Scouser in the Liverpool team. It would mean more considering that he has stated time and time again that this means more to him. This is a dream of his. He wanted to lead Liverpool into the future, to winning titles, to winning silverware, and he one day wanted to be a captain of the club permanently, following in the footsteps of local hero, Liverpool legend and icon, Steven Gerrard. It just seemed like he had turned his back on Liverpool fans before they did to him. I can understand it from both perspectives. It was toxic when he left. It was obviously not going to get any better. And then surprise, surprise, realistically, to no one's surprise, the Champions League threw Liverpool together with Real Madrid in the league phase. And especially at Anfield, where we all knew Trent was going to play, unless, of course, injured. And he was the main man. He was the main man of the entire day. The entire build-up was centred around Trent Alexander-Arnold, and the entire night was centred around him as well. And everyone was questioning, what kind of reception would he get? It didn't take Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking to combine their brains together to work out what kind of reception Trent was going to get. It was obviously going to be very hostile. It obviously wasn't going to be very welcoming. And yet, the mainstream media was confused by this. Jim White on TalkSport went as far as to say that it was classless. Now, whether or not you agree with his mural being defaced, I personally don't. But at the same time, again, the voice and the opinions of fans obviously is strong with particular football clubs, and Liverpool is no exception. I understand that aspect, but for him to call it classless to boo him upon his return is just, for me, out of touch with the modern day fan, out of touch with football, out of touch with everything. It didn't make much sense to me, that particular aspect. He was obviously going to get an unwelcome reception. He even graced the pitch during Real Madrid's warm-up to a chorus of boos. And how did he respond? He was seen smiling and laughing with his teammates, almost as if he expected it himself. He tried to not let it faze him, whether it did or not deep down, only he will know. But it seemed like he was trying to obviously just ride that wave out. Just kind of let it slide, kind of thing. Laughed it off with his teammates, smiling as the chorus of boos rained down upon him. And this seemed to irritate everybody. Because whilst we're not talking about how great Liverpool were on the night, whilst we're not talking about Liverpool's big win and how they may have turned a corner in this season, we are instead talking about this man right here. This man was the centre of attention in the pre-match build-up. He was the centre of attention throughout the entirety of the game. The camera panned on this image when Alexis McAllister scored the only goal of the game, and everybody that was in Real Madrid colours and associated with Real Madrid lost their minds. I saw a lot of fan reaction online that lost their minds upon this, but none more so than the mainstream media. As I mentioned before, Jim White on TalkSport calling it classless. The overlap is where this whole video stems from. Because I wasn't going to do a video on this, but the overlap somewhat irritated me enough to actually bite the bullet and do it. First and foremost, Jill Scott. She said that she felt sorry for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I can understand that opinion, but that was basically all of her opinion. No depth, no analysis, no reasoning why. She just said she felt sorry for him. Ian Wright had a similar aspect, but he at least went into a bit more detail. He said that he did feel sorry for him, but he also understood why Liverpool fans would react in the way that they did, because Trent Alexander-Arnold, in his opinion and in their opinion, made his bed and now he should lie in it. But the one that irritated me the most, from Roy Keane. Roy Keane basically spoke about how Liverpool fans hold themselves in higher regard and how they try and act superior to other fan bases. That's what he tried to allude to anyway, of players of yesteryear that Liverpool fans had welcomed back with open arms, but they wouldn't do the same for Trent. He went on to say that after making however many appearances that he made for the club, being with the club since he was a kid, that he should be welcomed back with open arms. Not kind of reading the room or reading the entire story for what it was, and not understanding why Liverpool fans would feel that way. It also amused me how he contradicted himself. He basically stated that if you're a paying fan, you're entitled to have your opinion, and he's not going to argue with that. All whilst arguing that he shouldn't have been booed by the match-going fans. Again, talk about contradicting yourself in the same sentence. But the irony of the entire thing is that this guy was trying to be this moral compass for controlling your emotions. I'm sorry, but is this the same Roy Keane that would constantly lose it on the pitch? The same Roy Keane that would go full-blooded into every challenge, every tackle, everything. And sometimes his emotions would get the better of him. Is this the same Roy Keane that ended the career of another professional footballer? A premeditated attack, a premeditated, pre-planned tackle on a player to end the career of another, which he later stated he intended to do so. And he's talking about not letting people get the better of their emotions. Is this the same Roy Keane that still holds grudges over certain players, and even his own ex-manager of Sir Alex Ferguson for casting him aside? If you want to talk about loyalty, this is a guy that was thrown aside by Sir Alex Ferguson for the betterment and for the progression of Manchester United, and he still held a grudge. And he's telling everybody, and especially Liverpool fans, not to get the best of their emotions. The same Roy Keane who, by the way, stated that Trent Alexander-Arnold wouldn't even be in the first team of Tranmere Rovers, let alone Real Madrid, whilst playing for Liverpool. All of a sudden, Trent moves on from Liverpool, and all of a sudden we're meant to just accept it for what it is? This isn't going to go away. This is not going to go away anytime soon. Whether we play them again next year or the year after, as long as Trent's there, he has made a rival of Liverpool fans by going to a rival. And yes, Real Madrid are rivals of Liverpool. We've played them several times over the past several years in Champions League format, whether it be in the league phase, the group stages, knockout stages, or even finals. They are the difference between Liverpool at least having 8 Champions Leagues rather than the 6 that we actually do have. We could have had 8 at the very least if it hadn't have been for Real Madrid, of course. They are rivals, and once you make a rival, once you join a rival, depending on how you conduct yourself, you are therefore a rival of us. We did it with Luis Suarez, we did it with Fernando Torres, we've done it with a couple of other players. And that's where it stems from as well, because whilst the mainstream media are doing this, rival fans online are doing this even more. They're calling Liverpool classless. They're calling Liverpool this, Liverpool that. They're saying how rude and how terrible of the Liverpool fan base to not welcome Trent Alexander-Arnold back with open arms. I'm sorry, but this was a fan base that defended him when every other fan base and every other rival fan base called him out for how poor he was defensively, for his mistakes. Even if they weren't his mistakes, rival fans would still claim they are. Liverpool fans would go to bat for this guy. They would go to hell and back for their player, Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then when he, in their eyes, betrayed them, that's where the ties were cut. That's where the ties were cut. But for rival fans to jump on the bandwagon of, how dare you do this, my club never would, every single club, I guarantee you, at one point or another, has booed a former player for one reason or another. Give you a couple of examples. When we bought Adam Lallana from Southampton booed him when he went there. Why? I have no idea. This was a player that had been with them since they were in like League 1, League 2, risen through the leagues with them, dedicated his life to that club, and yet when we went, we'll take Adam Lallana, we'll give you a substantial amount of money for him. When we went back to St Mary's, they booed him. James Milner left Manchester City for footballing reasons, wanted to play more football, came to Liverpool on a free transfer. Manchester City fans booed him. I've been told that Chelsea fans boo Mason Mount. And I'm sure there are other fan bases that boo ex-players at certain stages. There are some that leave and, you know, they're welcomed back with open arms. Again, Liverpool would do that with James Milner, with Adam Lallana as prime examples, with whoever else you can probably name that didn't go and join a rival or at least left on good footballing terms. We'd probably do the same when Harvey Elliott comes back, maybe, just to name someone more recent. But again, every fan does it. And for rival fans to get on their high horse or to try and get the moral high ground on this subject is laughable, because although you can't paint every fan with the same brush, and I'm not saying every fan would do it, and I would hope that the ones that are calling it out are at least consistent and they would actually welcome any player who goes and joins any club from their club back with open arms. I guarantee you there are some people in their own fan base that would not. So to jump on the moral high ground and to jump on the high horse on this is just wrong and so out of touch. But yes, at the end of the day, Liverpool fans were right to boo Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm sure he would have liked and enjoyed a better reception coming back to Anfield. But of course, that was never going to be the case. Never going to be the case. And the fact that everybody was surprised by it absolutely baffles me. But it doesn't seem to have affected him. Like I say, he was laughing and joking with his teammates during the booing, during the warm-up. He came on, he didn't really do anything. And I'm sure he went home that night disappointed in the result. But let's face it, he's probably made thousands upon hundreds of thousands upon maybe even millions since joining Real Madrid already. And I'm sure he is not fazed one little bit. But those are the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Let me know what you're thinking about this whole conversation. Were Liverpool fans right to boo Trent Alexander-Arnold? Or are you siding with the likes of Roy Keane and Jim White, who claim that it was classless and that it was wrong for them to do so? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling down below in the comments. In the comments section. Use and abuse that section, people. Talk to me on this. Would love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.